You've probably realized that decluttering isn't a quick process. Some people move faster than others, some struggle less with letting go. But no matter who you are or how quickly you can detach from your things, decluttering still takes time. But there will come a time where the finish line is in sight, right? And maybe you're in that final stretch of your decluttering journey right now, right? You've done the hard work, you've cleared spaces, you've made decisions, you've let go of things that are no longer serving you. But now that you're almost done, you feel like you're hesitating right at the very end. Why is that happening? Well, there are two reasons for this that I see come up time and again. And the first one is the fear of the unknown, right? This idea that, well, what happens when the clutter is gone? What will my life look like when the clutter is gone? Will there be a void I have to fill? Will I feel empty? What do I do with all of this space, right? You see, we give so much of our time and attention to decluttering our lives that sometimes we fail to consider what happens beyond that, right? What does life look like when the clutter is gone? And because we haven't taken the time to think through that, we result to what's familiar, to what's comfortable. And we'd much rather stick to what we know than venture off into something that's unknown. And so we close our fists, we start holding on to things for no reason, and we prolong that last phase of our decluttering journey because we simply don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what life looks like on the other side. Now, the second reason that I see come up is this feeling of disbelief, right? You've worked so hard, you've made so much progress, you've decluttered your life, but it almost feels too good to be true. And sometimes when things feel too good to be true, we start behaving in ways that start to undo the progress we've made, right? We start self sabotaging ourselves because, again, it feels too good to be true. And we can't see or fully imagine what life looks like on the other side of that clutter. And so we'd much rather stick with what we know and we start self sabotaging ourselves. Well, that's what I want to talk about today, right? How can we navigate these reactions, right? The fear, the disbelief in a way that doesn't hold us back. And there are two simple adjustments that I want to talk to you about that will help you fight through these final hurdles and feel confident enough to finish what you started. The first adjustment is about embracing the next chapter in your life, right? It's about shifting your mindset and seeing the decluttering process as a transition and not just the destination, right? And this is because, like I said, we get so caught up in decluttering itself that we don't take the time to consider what happens next. And so embracing the next chapter is giving yourself permission to think about those things, right? And so it's asking yourself questions like, okay, well, what does life look like for me when the clutter is gone? What do I value? What is my mission? What is the vision I have for my life? How do I want to spend my time? Who do I want to spend my time with? Right? Questions like these give you the clarity you need and the encouragement to push through that final stretch of your decluttering journey because you're excited about what's coming next, because you're looking forward to that next chapter in your life, rather than sitting there unsure, hesitant, scared, fearful of the unknown. You're confident because you know exactly what's coming next, right? I'll give you an example. When I was at the end of my decluttering journey, a few of the things that I was most looking forward to was one, rethinking my career, right? I wanted to transition away from corporate America and start working for myself to build my own business. But I also wanted to build a business that supported the lifestyle I wanted to create, which meant spending more time with my family, creating memories, experiences, building relationships with people. These are the things that are important to me. These are the things that align with my core values. And so I'm encouraging you to think through this as well. Embrace the next chapter in your life. What does life look like for you when the clutter is gone? And the way you're going to do that is number one, I want you to start visualizing this right now, today. Grab a pen, grab a notebook, and start journaling your way through some of these questions. What do you want to do? What does life look like for you? What do you value? What is your mission? What is your vision for your life? Get clarity on those things. And when you do, it's going to make that last stretch of your decluttering journey feel like a breeze. Now, the second adjustment is to focus on creating sustainable habits. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a big mistake that I see so many people making, and a mistake that I've made on my journey as well, is when we get near the end of our decluttering journey, or we reach the finish line and we're quote unquote clutter free, we start to get lazy. We start to behave in ways that start to undo some of the hard work we've done to create the clutter-free life that we have. And there's one habit in particular that I want to talk about today, and it's the habit that I call the dumping habit. And to help you understand exactly what I mean by this, I'm going to paint a picture for you really quick. Imagine you come home from a long day of work. You kick your shoes off at the door, you toss your jacket on the back of whatever chair is available, you flip through the mail, and then you throw that on top of yesterday's mail. But it doesn't stop there, right? There's a random pile of stuff in the corner of your kitchen countertop. There's this collection of clothes in your bedroom floor, and these are the clothes that you've worn, but they're not quite dirty enough to go into the laundry yet, right? See, all these little habits like this where we dump things in places out of convenience, this is what I call the dumping habit. And this habit is undoing the hard work we've done to create a clutter-free life. It's starting to create messes in different areas of our home. It's inviting clutter to come back into our home. And so what can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do is we have to acknowledge the habit itself, right? So many of us choose to ignore the fact that we have a dumping habit, or we like to think that it's not a big deal when it is. And so the very first thing is we have to acknowledge that we have a dumping habit, all right? And then following that, the next thing we have to do is we have to become aware of this dumping habit and start looking around and figuring out where exactly are we dumping things without thinking. Is it the kitchen countertop? Is it the dining table? Is it the chair? Is it the couch? Is it the floor of your bedroom? Or is it that side table credenza thing in the hallway, right? Where is clutter collecting as a result of our daily habits, right? And then once we know where we're dumping things, then we can start to interrupt the habit. And there are a few different ways that we can approach this. And the first way is to just simply think before you act, right? So the next time you come home from a long day of work, or the next time you have a handful of things, think before you act, right? Think before you start dumping things in random places without thinking. And this is easier said than done, right? Because adjusting any habit is going to take practice. But if you think before you act, you can start to put things in their place rather than dumping them wherever it's convenient, right? But beyond that, and what I think is even more effective, is removing the dumping area itself. And I'll give you a few examples from my experience. Back when I was living in my first apartment, I had a bookshelf, and this bookshelf was collecting everything besides books, right? I had a whole bunch of knickknacks on there, had junk on there, and it became this dumping ground for anything and everything. I also had an accent chair in my bedroom, and I didn't sit in this chair at all. The only purpose this chair served was to hold the clothes that I wore, but weren't quite dirty enough to go into the laundry yet. And see, what I did is I decided to remove the bookshelf and that chair altogether. I donated the bookshelf. I think I sold the chair on Facebook Marketplace, but I got rid of those items. I got rid of those dumping areas. And what that did is it forced me to face the bad habit that I created. It forced me to deal with my dumping behaviors and figure out how I can adjust my habits to operate in a way that didn't require that. And so that is my encouragement to you, right? Now, I'm not suggesting or prescribing that you get rid of your dining table if that's the dumping area in your home. But what I am saying is to just think intentionally about what you do when you come home and your arms are full of things. Don't just dump them in places without thought. Think before you act. And when you do that, you'll start to feel like your effort was worth it. And you're not going to feel like you're stuck in this cycle of, having to clean and donate, and you feel like you're not really making any progress. Now, I'm also going to throw this out there. Consistency is key. Trying to change a habit that is just naturally part of your everyday behavior is not an easy thing to do. And so it's not going to happen overnight. But these small adjustments, if you're consistent, will keep the clutter from coming back in your life, will keep the mess at bay, and ensure that your effort was worth it. Okay, here's the bottom line. The mental shift from the first adjustment helps you break free from hesitation, right? The fear of the unknown. And the behavioral shift from the second adjustment we talked about helps you avoid undoing all the hard work you've done and the progress you've made. Now, together, they create momentum to help push you through to the finish line. So whatever it is, right? If it's fear of the unknown, if you're unsure about what your future life looks like when the clutter is gone, or if you simply have a bad habit of dumping things in random places, take the necessary steps today to fix that issue. Remove that clutter, break that habit, start thinking through life after clutter. You've come too far for this to not be worth it, right? You're so close to becoming clutter-free, so don't give up. See you next time, my friend. Peace.